Namaste, my dear friends. Welcome to Mana TV and Mana TV International. You're watching Community Special with Jyotsna. Today, we have come back with a very important and a very, special topic, which speaks about the spiritual connect of millions of Indian Americans, or say millions of Hindus all over the world. Today, we are going to talk about a proposed bill that is coming up in the state of New York, where it deems swastika as a symbol of hate. But at the same time, this symbol of hate that they are trying to project is about Nazi hacker nose symbol that relates to swastika, or that looks like swastika. To educate and enlighten the masses, it becomes important that we must bring the right people to the forum to guide and educate what is the difference between a hacker nose, that is a Nazi symbol, a swastika, and a Hindu symbol, that is a swastika, followed and religiously pursued by millions of Hindus all over the world. And we will be talking about the impact of this proposed bill on the entire community, whether it is the Hindu community or the other community all over the world. Specifically in the United States of America, how the community will get impacted due to this. We will have a very serious discussion with our panel of guests. We have right now with us Mr. Nikunj Trivedi, who is the president of Kohna, that is the organization, Coalition of Hindus of North America. Nikunji, namaskar.
Namaste.
Then we have Shohini Sharkar, who is the vice chair of Hindu Students Council. Shohini, welcome to our show. Then we have Mr. Ajay Shah, who is the executive vice president of Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Hindu Pact. Namaste, Ajay ji. Welcome to our show.
Namaste.
And then we have Utsav Chakrabarti ji, who is also the executive chair of the Hindu Pact. Namaste, Utsav ji.
Namaste. Namaste, everybody.
Then we have Acharya Arun Gosai ji, who is from the Bhuvaneshwara Mandir, son of Shri Prakash Gosai, very well-known figure. Acharya Gosai ji will be throwing a great light on the spiritual aspect of swastika here. And he is a person who was born and brought up, he was born in Guyana, brought up in America, and then he went to Mumbai to study at Chinmaya Mission, and then came back, and he was the head of Chinmaya Mission, New York, as a spiritual head. Right now, he is working with Bhuvaneshwara Mandir right now. So we have a very, very good panel of guests here who will be talking about this very serious issue. And we as media are concerned about sending the right message to the masses. First and foremost, Nikunji, I will welcome you here right now, in the sense, you please guide us about this proposed bill that is coming up in New York. What is the recent development and everything our viewers would like to know from you?
Sure. Namaste, and pleasure to be here. Always good to be on Mana TV, and thank you very much for supporting the Hindu community and the broader Indian American community. I think it's very important that the media does its job, it's dharma, as we say, to portray the issues that our community is facing. Now, coming to the topic of this particular bill, about a week and a half ago, we found out about this bill. And the bill basically is a bill that will mandate students to learn about the swastika and the noose as hate symbols. And it will require from grades 6 through 12 in all New York schools that students in their education classes in general will be learning about these two symbols. This bill has been actually introduced since August of 2019. It was introduced in the Assembly in August of 2019 by one assemblyman, Mr. Levine. And then it continued on. And then in January, it was then moved over to the Senate, where Senator Kaminsky introduced this bill into the Senate. Recently, they have moved, it's past the Senate, now it's into the Assembly for the Education Committee to review. Once the Education Committee reviews it, it will go to the broader Assembly for a vote. And once it passes the Assembly, it will go to the governor for final signing into law. So it's a good thing that we found out very recently about this thing. Many community members have been very supportive of this thing. So about a week and a half ago, we found out, then we started a petition about a week ago that's basically asking the Senate as well as the Assembly to amend the bill as it stands. And it's very important to understand this. We are not against educating students about hatred and intolerance. What is important is that while teaching that, that the context in which the swastika is being talked about doesn't have any negative impacts on the communities that really consider the swastika as a symbol, as a sacred symbol, symbol of prosperity, symbol of goodwill, fortune, things like that. And that would include hundreds of, or thousands of Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Native American students, and even potentially African American students who might be practicing ancient African traditions. Similarly, you have Chinese students, Korean students, Japanese students, Thai students, you name it. All of these students who practice either Buddhism or Hinduism would be impacted by this bill. So it's very important that the community raises its voice of concerns and talks to its representatives in New York, whether it's your senator or assemblyman, especially the assemblyman, because that's where the bill is right now. So it's a very important situation right now, a matter that we're actually looking at. A lot of Hindu organizations are coming together. As you can see, some of our colleagues here, and it's very important that the mandirs and also all the Indian American organizations, doesn't matter what you are. If you are looking at the swastika as a symbol, that you actually either put it in your marriage ceremonies, in your house as a welcome sign, in your mandirs. We have swastika on murtis. I mean, you name it, the swastika is so important as a symbol for the Hindus. So having said that, we also have to recognize the trauma, the intergenerational, transgenerational trauma that the Jews have been facing because of what the Nazis have done, right? So it's important that our Jewish friends are supported by this, and we need to make sure that that happens and we recognize their pain, but have an honest conversation about what this particular symbol is. So I just wanted to open with that. Thank you, Jyotsna.
Thank you so much for this detailed insight, Nikunj. And it becomes imperative, to actually send the right message and right knowledge to masses. That is what it is very important right now. It's a personal incident I will share with everyone here. Of course, they are talking about this bill right now and everything. But what happened recently was one of my son's friends visited our home. And as a Hindu tradition, there is a swastika on my door. That's a Hindu swastika. And the moment this child is an American child, who he looked at it and he exclaimed, "Whoa, you got a swastika here." He had so much of negative feeling about that symbol. It took me a while to make him understand this is not Nazi symbol. This is a Hindu symbol, which is thousands of years old. And that is a general problem here, all over. If we don't let people understand, that's a problem. So now, of course, I will come to Ajay Shahji right now, being the VP of Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America. Ajay ji, need your inputs on this.
Namaste, Jyotsna ji, and thank you once again for inviting us, and to my fellow panelists. I think this is a really important conversation. It's important because this is something that affects every single child who is growing up in America. It affects every single adult growing up in America. I was just talking to someone who I know in World Hindu Council of America, or BHPA, and he had someone come home to fix something from Home Depot, and the person saw a swastika at home and they just returned. So, and they put in a logbook that this is a home that is that has hate symbols in it, and I cannot work there. But the history of swastika really, as Nikunj Bhai indicated, goes back thousands of years, literally 10,000 years. Every part of the world has some aspect of swastika that was embedded in the culture. So even Native Americans, in African cultures, in Mayan cultures, European cultures, all across Asia, this is a symbol of goodwill. This is not a symbol of hate. And people who say that this is a symbol of hate don't actually understand. So as part of the research, I actually dug out the resolution that was passed by the Third Reich in Germany. And that resolution makes no mention, that resolution makes no mention of word swastika. It mentions Hakenkreuz, which is a crooked cross or hooked cross, and it doesn't talk about swastika, it doesn't name swastika. So this is something that everyone should understand, that the word swastika is not actually, even the Hitler and Hitler's regime did not use the word swastika. And to propagate this myth that there is a swastika that is associated with the atrocities that Hitler committed, at some point, it's something that we as a community have to educate the world that even Hitler never used the word swastika. And not only that, VHPA worked with in Washington, D.C. We worked as part of interfaith initiative with the Jewish community, with AJC in Washington, D.C. and published a brochure 2 years ago. And that clearly AJC has accepted that this swastika is not a symbol of hate. 10 years ago, in 2008, there was a Hindu-Jewish interfaith meet in Jerusalem, and they published a resolution which also said that we have to educate all the communities, the Jewish community, Hindu community, and it's not just Hindu community, right? It's Hindu community, the Buddhist community, and over 1 billion people, all of the Chinese, so actually over 2 billion people, we need to educate all of them that this is not the same as hak and cross.
That's where we are standing today, you know. We need a proper understanding from each and every section of the society, as you speak about different religions and faiths, you know, trying to understand the essence. Now I will go to Acharya Arun Gosai ji for a little bit, you know, from the perspective of spirituality and everything, about the Hindu swastika and about this Hakan cruise. I need inputs from you, Acharya ji.
Well, namaskar to you, Jyotsna ji, and to all of the distinguished guests on this wonderful platform this evening. I'd like to thank my brother Nikunj ji for inviting me first and foremost. Very kind of you, sir. And I'd like to share, my dear brothers and sisters, some insight on what the swastika is. And I feel that many conflicts in our life, my dear friends, come from misunderstanding. People are very fearful. They're very doubtful of things that they don't fully understand. And I'll give my own example of a wedding that I conducted just 5 years ago, where they had swastikas all over, being a symbol of auspiciousness, of prosperity. But our Jewish friends came and they were very taken aback, and they were very, I would say, alarmed at seeing this. And you can't blame them because of the way it was actually twisted into something else. Now, if I ask all of you, when you think of the American flag, or you think of the Indian flag, or any flag of any great nation, what do you think of? You think of freedom, you think of justice, you think of prosperity for all people, no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from. Now, the swastika has that same exact symbolism. If you look at the word swastika, it is broken up into two Sanskrit words. The first word is su, which comes from sushtu, which means excellent or well. And then you have asti. Asti is a Sanskrit word which means existence. Put the two words together, you get swasti, which means well, which means wellness, which means health and prosperity. And I feel, my dear brothers and sisters, that as Ajay Bhai said very beautifully, that tens of thousands of years ago, this symbol was a sign of righteousness. And even in the 1920s, as we look, Coca-Cola and all these great companies, they actually had the swastika stamped on their bottles. I don't know if you know that, but it was only until, again, Hitler and his regime and all those things that really distorted by way of media what this swastika symbolizes in the minds of many at that time. But unfortunately, even in this age of technology, it has been twisted into something else. So swastika is something that is very, very symbolic, very, very dear to all of us. And I would like to tell you what the swastika symbolizes, the actual shape. If one of you can actually share that on the screen, you will see that it is a very beautiful shape symbolizing the 4 Vedas. Now, the 4 Vedas, you will say, the Sanskrit scholars will say, Anantaha Vai Vedaha. That means there are many Vedas. But the 4 Vedas that we know, my dear brothers and sisters, the Atharvana Ved and all of the other Vedas, they are 4 in number at this point of time that we know of. But these scriptures are very deep in understanding the world that we live in doing well in secular education, and also in the science of the Upanishads, Vedanta. Knowing Aham Brahmasmi, our true nature, that I am more than this body, mind, and intellect, but I am something greater. But as you see on the left side of your screen, the Hakan Cruz, it is very, very distorted. It is painted, it is colored, it is turned, my dear brothers and sisters. And if you see the ones that are on the right side, seeming very auspicious in the Hindu culture, in the Buddhist culture, in the Native American culture, we see that the 4 parts of this swastika symbolize, in addition to the 4 Vedas, it also symbolizes dharma, artha, kam, or moksha. Dharma comes from the Sanskrit root dhra, the dhatu, which means to uphold, to keep, to unify, to actually realize the highest goal of this human life, which is that we're more than this physical existence, that this intelligence in every cell is indeed guiding us and unfolding us up till now, like it did in our mother's womb. So dharma, upholding, making the right choices. Artha, the accumulation of comforts in life. Kama, the fulfillment of selfless desires. And finally, moksha. Moksha, liberation from this mind and all of its turmoil by knowing that you are the witness of this, the sakshi. So my dear brothers and sisters, these are all in a nutshell, a brief explanation of what swastika means. Sushtu asti, being well, being prosperous, like any country has their flag flying high. I hope that we can educate, my dear friends, our friends who may not know, from different religions, from different countries, from different cultures. I hope that we can educate them. So once again, the flag of the swastika and our beautiful Hindu culture can fly high as an inspiration to all in the world.
Wonderful description. Thank you so much, Acharya Arun Gosai ji. So very thankful to you, how beautifully you have explained the meaning of swastika. I hope that our audience, understand it and send this message to other peers, other neighbors, our society, our community.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for this insight. Now, Utsav ji, I will come to you, Utsav Chakrabarti ji. You are the Executive Director for Hindu Pact. First of all, give us a little insight about this Hindu Pact, what it is, and your take on this situation right now.
Sure, thank you. We have been trying to educate the community, not just on this particular issue as part of Hindu Pact. It is a policy action group that aims to educate people about the misconceptions and the malintent issues that are coming against the Hindu community in America. And this being one of the issues, but there have been other issues that we have been dealing with on a daily basis almost because of the geopolitics that affects the community here. So we are building up consensus amongst the communities, as well as trying to give policy solutions so that everybody is educated on the issues that they need to work on, both the Hindus and the communities that we are dealing with. On this specific issue, we have been working with the other Hindu communities, trying to give a background in the history of the swastika, and Ajay Bhai and Nikunj so nicely described it before. One of the points that was made now with the swastika being called Hakenkreuz in Germany, that was a point that was not known to many people until this issue came up. And we made sure that people understood it, and we gave the documentary proof that was needed from the original archives that Hitler himself signed in terms of the selection of the flag and the selection of the symbol. So what it does is that it educates every sane, rational mind to a new perspective, which may help them change their opinion on this issue. And more importantly, I think we are also trying to drive home the point that swastika being a Hindu symbol for 10,000 years, if there is anyone who hates this symbol taken away from them to then given to their rightful owners, it would be the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis. So the best way to counter them and make sure that this symbol is not used as a symbol of hate is to actually talk about the history of this symbol. Because I'm pretty sure as much as they hate the Jews, the white supremacists hate us as much too. So there's nothing to disempower them better than to educate everybody in the world about swastika. And another issue we are trying to bring up is to find balance and equanimity in terms of what the symbols of hate are. I mean, I've never seen anybody talking about projecting the ISIS symbol as the symbol of hate. I don't read Arabic, so I don't know what's written on the ISIS flag, but maybe that should be considered as a symbol of hate. And there has to be some level of balance in terms of discussing these issues out in the public space. So that's some of the things we are trying to bring up.
Thank you so much, Utsav ji. I appreciate your views there. And of course, I mean, every view is respected nicely there. Well, I have another special guest here right now, young enterprising guest, Shohini Sharkar. She is the Vice Chair of Hindu Students Council. Shoini, your presence is very important here in today's session. You being the youth and you being the person who's very much connected to the entire young generation, and especially the Hindu students. I, first of all, want to know a little bit about the Hindu Students Council because our audience should know about it. In addition to this, how your student community is taking this proposed bill, about that, and more inputs from you.
Thank you so much for having us on today. Like everyone mentioned, it's so important for us to be able to have this kind of a platform to get the message out. So Hindu Students Council is a nonprofit organization that works predominantly in North America and has inspired organizations throughout the world. We are working in creating chapters, and we have many chapters in high schools, colleges, universities, and we also have a lot of young adults that are involved with Hindu Students Council. So there is a lot of great work being done in the realm of advocacy by these students and young adults. And this issue obviously does affect, the grades of 6 through 12, but it also has a much larger impact in that it impacts how others view Hindus, especially from a young age. When we see a lot of misinformation about Hindu Dharma being presented in school textbooks by school teachers, we see more and more bullying of Hindu students. And we recently had some events where where Kona hosted some Hindu Students Council high school students to come on their platform and speak about their experience. And, we've all faced different types of bullying that comes about by this misinformation that gets spread. So, one example actually from my own high school, when I was in school, is we, for my art history class, we each got to create different panels about each of the different world major religions. And so I signed up to be a part of the Hindu group. And, I proposed a design that included having the swastika there. And, immediately people kind of sprung up and said, no, that's going to be inappropriate. We had, a much larger group of people get involved because we had to kind of get approval from the school for us to be able to put the swastika there. But I think through education, I was able to help everyone understand what the difference was, and that the swastika is an important Hindu symbol. So we were able to, at the end of the day, put that symbol up on that panel for the art history students and the whole school to be able to see. So these kinds of issues are very important, and students are getting very involved. We're all sharing the petition. Many young adults and students have been signing it. So I think it's something that is really important to us, and we won't remain silent about this issue.
Thank you so much, Shohini. Very nice work you're doing. The organization Hindu Student Council is doing there. We appreciate it. And yes, education is always empowering, and the right education should go. Right leaders should take it. And we appreciate all the efforts of all you people here who are actively participating in this, So, Nikunj, from your perspective about this petition, what was the involvement about this petition that you were, you initiated through Kohana? Can you throw some more light on that, and how's the response and everything?
Absolutely. So the response has been great. We're close to almost at 7,500 signatures now across many people. And it's not just Hindus that are signing. I get notifications of people signing. You can see it on the screen. You have Jews signing, Muslims signing. You have, just regular non-Hindu folks who are in the mainstream are signing as well, because they realize the concerns that Hindus really have. And I think the petition is very clear in the origin of the Haq and Cruz. Here it is, as you can see, we're almost at 7,500 now. And you can see people like Greg Walsh and Cheryug, like different people who are signing are not Indian or Hindus in that sense, right? So you can see the idea here is to show the lawmakers that our concern is not about the bill itself. We are supportive of the bill in spirit. However, we just want to amend the language of it. We have also proposed certain changes. As we talk about Haq and Cruz, see, one of the things that is challenging for us to also, as I mentioned, is to understand that the word has been corrupted so much because Hindus have not done anything about it. There are many words out there. Aryan is another one. that we are, we always talk about Aryan invasion theory and all these like racist theories out there. And Hindus have not done a good job in advocating for our symbols and our language and our, words and stuff. So the swastika has become a corrupted word, unfortunately, in this particular instance. So what we need to do is we need to have an honest conversation with our Jewish colleagues, Jewish friends and community members and say, hey, look, this is where we are. So in the petition, we lay that down. We actually show exactly what the problem is. And with respect to the fact that we recognize the genocide and the horrors of the Holocaust and everything like that, but at the same time, the conversations that need to happen, just because we want to right one wrong doesn't mean then we also go and create another wrong that impacts other communities. So in the petition, we're talking about that. Now, besides the petition, what we have done is we are actually holding a town hall next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're inviting all the Hindu organizations and Hindus to come out and watch the town hall on Facebook. It's going to be broadcasted live from our Facebook handle, which is facebook.com/KONA-official, and where we're going to be inviting all the different Hindu organizations to come together. We'll have some important leaders from the community on that town hall. We're also trying to get a Jewish professor on the town hall as well, and then maybe a couple of Jewish people to share their perspective also. So it's an opportunity for the community to understand what's really happening. So as part of the petition was just a start to raise awareness, to bring it out. Now, the harder part is to make sure that we work with the legislatures. We're having meetings with the senators and assemblymen and things like that, and also inviting all the community members to join us. So this is not even though KONA just started this thing, there are a lot of other organizations that are working on it. VHPA, Hindu Pact is working on it. Other organizations are working on it too. So certainly it's a community effort that everyone needs to participate in. Similarly, what we also need to do is, and this is something that we can discuss on a different day, but it doesn't end here. Let's say we want the bill to pass, but in an amended way. What's more important is that we have proper education. So all the community organizations need to create educational materials. Like we can actually tape what Acharya Arun Gosai just said and broadcast it out there, right? To show what the meaning of swastika is for the Hindus. And we need to do it more and more, infographics. And during Diwali celebrations, we can make sure that we talk about the swastika so that people don't feel like, wow, this is like a hate symbol, right? So
Absolutely,
we need to,
absolutely.
the education part is going to be very important from now on.
Thank you,
One last thing I want to bring out. There's another bill that is also out there, which people may not know about. We're talking about this one bill, but the bill actually makes it a federal crime to publicly display the swastika.
Oh my God.
Okay? Let me repeat that. The bill makes it a federal crime to publicly display the swastika. So imagine if you're going in a wedding procession and you have a thali that has a swastika on it, someone can call and say, hey, look at this. It's a hate crime. Similarly, you go to the mandir and you have a car and you're doing the puja of the car, and they draw the swastika on the car. Now imagine somebody takes a picture of that and says, look at this, right? So there could be real problems for the community. So I just wanted to share that also.
Thank you, Nikunj. Thank you so much. And of course, it is very shocking to know about this federal, law being proposed about swastika being seen as such a big crime. Now, from the perspective of, of course, we have Mr. Ajay Shah here, Executive VP of Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America, various other organizations, Hindu Pact here. The thing is, what is the unified effort you all organizations are taking right now to help out the entire communities and make them understand that swastika is altogether a different entity altogether? Are we taking any other steps there in focused direction? Ajay, I need your input.
Yeah. So I think it's really important that community comes together and not in the narrow confines of individual organization. And Nikunj and I, we go back a long way. We were in the Hindu Students Council together, and so we have a long history of working together. It is not about KONA, it's not about VHPA, it's not about Hindu Pact or any other organization. This is such a fundamental issue for all the Hindus that every Hindu has to educate every other faith person and make sure that everyone comes together on this on this particular issue. Because if we don't come together, it will perpetuate hate crime against Hindus. So to further what Nikunj said, Vice President Biden has actually challenged President Trump and said that go ahead and see if you can ban swastika. And so he's insinuating that President Trump cannot ban swastika, but if he were a president, he would actually go and ban swastika. I don't know how he would do it in light of First Amendment and all that, but he actually is creating hysteria and saying that ban swastika and speak against swastika. So one presidential candidate is telling another presidential candidate, and these are major candidates. These are not some small party candidates. These are two major presidential candidates, and one is challenging the other to say, go ahead and speak against swastika, without understanding the fundamental, purpose of this particular symbol. Now, specific to World Council of America, or VHPA, and Hindu Pact, we have several initiatives going on. So one of our initiative, one of our projects in VHPA is Hindu Mandir Executives Conference. And this is an organization that has 300 mandirs that have come together. And we will soon be publishing a letter that is signed by all the major mandirs in America, endorsing the stand that we have taken, where education is needed across the community, and why the New York State Assembly should not pass the bill in the form it is in. So there's a major effort underway to get all the mandirs to sign on. The second thing that we are doing is we are creating an outreach program to all the schools, high schools and elementary schools, working at the grassroots level to increase the awareness of this particular issue. We also have a weekly program called Hindu Lounge. It's on Facebook and it's on YouTube and Twitter live every Sunday at 11 o'clock. And we spent an entire hour with a lot of guests joining us talking about the importance of swastika and what are the reasons why Hindus should come together and defend this, because it is really critical for Hindus to come together on this particular issue. And also we have set up an app which allows people to sign a letter, and we work, and Nikunj Bhai is involved, Atul Bhai from Washington is involved, state of Washington, Seattle is involved in creating an app that using which the community members can easily sign a petition to the assembly members in the state of New York. So there is, in all fronts, everyone is coming together, because if this is not done, the bullying of the children, and every other thing you can imagine, from Home Depot person not working at your home to, as you said, Jyotsna ji, explaining to your child's friend. This is so important to the community that it's not an issue about VHPA or KONA or some other organization. It is for every Hindu to come together and act on this.
Thank you so much, Ajay. It is all about identifying ourselves. Right. The religious roots, the heritage the swastika carries for this bigger segment of the society, the Hindus or the affiliated religions, who revere the sign swastika as a pious sign. And it is imperative, yes, this is the time to get up and be in action. And from a perspective, you are in VHPA, Nikunj, you are from KONA, various other organizations are there, the Hindu organizations are active in United States of America, being in Indian Americans here, and of course, Shohini is here right now as a student. There is a lot of disparity, Indian Americans have seen as far as the Hindu religion is concerned. Some, I don't know, there is a myth or there is a misinformation in the masses. Of course, I will take it from Acharya Arun Gosaiji right now on this, where people, sometimes Hindus get mocked, as Shohini had shared a previous experience, where kids would joke around saying that you have multiple gods. You understand? So who do you exactly worship? And that is a very serious and contentious issue. Acharyaji, we need inputs from you on that. Some solutions to it, how this Hindu religion is seen, it should be seen as by the masses, and then of course the relevance of swastika and other pious symbols that Hindu religion has.
Sure. Jyotsna ji, you hit the nail on the head with bullying and all these things that come from people's ignorance of what the beauty of Hinduism is. And I can tell you, growing up in New York City's public school system, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I was a victim of this. But luckily, I had parents who instilled Hindu values in us from a very young age, from the toddler years. And I was able to answer them. And sometimes they need an answer. So the Hindu religion is very simple. Bhagavan ek hi hai, lekin roop anant hai. The Lord is one, but there are various forms of that one Lord. It's like your father at home. When he goes to the office, he's the boss. When he's at home, he's husband and father. When he's with his brothers, he is brother. When he's with sister, sister. So many different hats that one man wears. Similarly, this Lord that we pray to is what we call the unseen Paramatma, or the consciousness within all beings. And now this is an unmanifest reality that is in the hearts of all beings, that is in every cell. No matter which person we look at in the world, no matter which creature we see that intelligence, we see that life just bubbling up in them. This life that allows anything to happen, that allows mitosis, meiosis, that allows a single cellular organism to divide, that allows a child to form in a mother's womb without the mom even thinking about the formation of the child. They never think of DNA, they never think of skin color, hair color. The intelligence that is God just makes it happen. Now, Hindus, that is called the Nirgun Brahma, which we find within ourselves and we worship and adore. But we are so fortunate as Hindus to worship that unseen Lord in the Sagun form, or the Lord with form. For example, Lord Ganesha, the remover of all obstacles. People see the elephant head and they don't understand. The elephant head is a symbol of higher thinking, of thinking and serving one's parents, and removing all of obstacles by way of using the buddhi, or the intellect. So in this way, I don't want to take up too much time on the subject, but in this way, Jyotsna ji, if we can educate our youth like we do at Bhuvaneshwar Mandir, I'm happy to say that the Chinmaya Mission and Bhuvaneshwar Mandir, our focus is on this education. So when they go into the schoolyard, they're able to not defend themselves, but they're able to educate other children as to the beauty of this rich culture and religion known as Hinduism.
I appreciate your input, Acharya ji. Thank you so much. Again, जितना आप बोलेंगे उतना ही कम है. बहुत सार चाहिए. We need a lot of inputs, from learned people like you. And Shohini, from the students' perspective, from the young generation's perspective, there are, of course, personal incidents when I understand about the upbringing of Hindu kids, in the society. There is always this challenge of their identity in the school system, as you've spoken about some bullying happening and all. So how are you planning through Hindu Students Council? How are you planning to empower their thought process? What are you doing as an organization?
Sure. So as Arunji stated, we do try to do a lot of education for our students. And also I think part of it is helping them gain self-confidence in who they are. So we do things, and this is going to sound a little silly, but how do we make being Hindu cool, right? So how do we make sure that when a student goes out, that they're not afraid to wear bindi to their school, that they are, proud to wear their colorful clothes, like that they can wear kurti or like we want them to like just be able to be proud with being who they are. And I think a lot of that comes into play when we do our HSC camps, when we do our different leadership retreats. We do things where we'll do cheers, where we'll say, who are we, HSC? We'll do all these fun cheers, but it's a way for us to kind of build self-confidence, build self-esteem. We learn more, we educate ourselves, we are then able to educate other people. And I think that when we live in some place that is outside of, Bharat, we oftentimes have to serve as ambassadors of Hindu Dharma, whether we like to or not. We may be one of, just a handful of Hindu students in our university or in our high schools. And so we have to be able to serve as ambassadors, whether we like to or not. And that involves being able to educate ourselves and also educate other Hindus that are unaware, that they're not woken up yet. So we have to be able to educate our peers as well. So I think a lot of it is about building that self-confidence, that self-esteem, being able to respond to bullies, being able to go up to our teachers and explain to them when they've said something incorrectly to the class. I had to go and talk to a teacher and say, no, some teacher explained that the reason we don't eat cows is because we think they're our ancestors. And I said, that is not true at all. Let's go back.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean,
what did the teacher say?
They said that Hindus don't eat cows because they think that the cow may be their grandfather or their grandmother. And I'm like, that's
oh my God.
Correct, So it's like, it's being able to go up to, a teacher, a principal, a senator, and be able to correct them and say, no, this is not right. And let me tell you what the actual issues are, and what my Hindu dharma actually teaches me, and what you're teaching me is incorrect. I think all of that self-esteem comes from being able to be proud and educated about who you are.
Thank you so much, Sohini. Great work you're doing there in this direction. And yes, this is the time that when we are so widely connected through all the mediums of information, social media, and other systems of education, this is the time that the right message should go. And you are doing a great work as an organization. Thank you for those inputs and for those steps that you're taking. Utsav Chakrabarti ji, I'll come to you right now about this Hindu Pact, your efforts in the direction. Now, of course, we are at a point where we are discussing about stopping this message, where this is the wrong message going, that this is a symbol of hate, swastika. But why the organizations in the United States of America, all the Hindu organization, other related organization, have not taken a prior step where you would have rather empowered this symbol of swastika, or would have advocated highly about it as a spiritual symbol. Right now you're in defense mode. Okay, it's not the mode you're in defendance right now. Rather, you could have been all praises for it. Why it took so late to be in the action, though? That would be the question to everybody. But as a Hindu Pact director there, what's happening right now, Sajji?
So this is something that the Hindu community has often come up with. And, we have had a colonial past, and our community has taken its time to come out of its colonial baggage, and we're still coming out of it. So we can look back, and hindsight is 2020. So we can look back and be self-critical about the things we have not done, but it's never too late to get it done. Just to give you an example, as Ajay ji said, I was part of the meeting in 2009 with American Jewish community in Washington, DC, when we actually came up with a brochure on the importance of swastika for the Hindu community with AJC, the American Jewish community, one of the most powerful Jewish organizations in America. And we had a beautifully done brochure, but for whatever reasons, the brochure remained local in DC. It never traveled across the country. It should have been given to every senator, every congressman at the federal level, at the state level, at the city level, the city councilman. And it should have been included in school education system, in public library system. That's an effort that should have been done, wasn't done. We hope to do it from now on. I mean, we are a new organization, but there are other organizations before us who have done work on this. So as I said, we have laid behind in many of these issues because our community has not always been forceful in putting its voice forward. And as an immigrant community, mostly immigrant community, everybody in this community takes its time to settle into this country. But we sometimes forget that what is happening now is going to affect the 3 next generations that are coming. And as you all discussed, it will be very hard for a Hindu child 2 generations from now to take pride in his religion if these kinds of misconceptions keep carrying forward. So we are working on this. We are going to take every effort possible to make sure that what was done 5 years ago, 10 years ago carries forward. Every public library should have more books on Hindu Dharma. Every school teaches more on Hindu Dharma. Every city, every federal level and state level authority has more knowledge. That's what we are working on.
I appreciate your input, Sutsavji. Thank you so much. And Nikunj, I'll come to you. You've been a youth leader yourself throughout, and of course, extensively involved now with Kohana coming into picture. Prior to this, you have been the founder of Hindu Student Council, I believe?
No. Okay. One of the founders you're looking at, he's right there. Ajay Shahji is one of the founders of Hindu Student Council. I just serve as the chairman of Hindu Student Council. I've been involved in HSC for more than half of my life. absolutely, but
Okay,
certainly
pardon my
not the founder.
ignorance, you know.
I don't have that pleasure, unfortunately. So, but no,
Nikunj
yeah.
is the one that has made the Hindu Students Council successful. So a lot of credit go to Nikunj and Sohini.
Yeah, a team effort for sure.
It's been a wonderful team effort. I must say that there, and pardon my ignorance there. You know, I was not aware.
No worries.
So, Nikunj, of course, you know, with Corona coming into picture and this petition coming into picture right now, how well you have coordinated? Like, are you in touch with some other senators, congressmen, and all? Generally, curious to know.
No, absolutely. What we have done is, as Ajay mentioned, we have sent out emails to many of the education committee representatives and stuff like that. But also we have people on the ground in New York who are actually actively talking to the senators and assemblymen, sending emails, calling them and stuff like that. Because when the constituents call, right, it's very important. And like, for example, Acharya Arun Gosai, his constituency has a lot of Guyanese community members and stuff like that. So when we, as from here, New Jersey, we call is fine. Being the president of Kona is a little different, but if I'm a New Jersey resident, I have no standing in New York in that sense. So we have to make sure that the local people are calling. So we have people in New York who are calling the senators, whether they sit in Albany or in Queens or in Long Island, it doesn't matter. So we have to make sure that happens. That's something we're doing. And as I mentioned to you about the town hall, where we are inviting all the Hindu organizations to come together and really discuss this. In addition, there are certain important people within the community, some very well-connected people who are rich, but also influential in the New York area. We are talking to them and trying to see if they can help us, right? And finally, the major temples. For example, one of the biggest temples is Ganesh Temple in Flushing. And the Ganesh Temple has a very long history in New York itself and is very influential. So Dr. Uma Maisorekar, is fully supportive of the efforts that the Hindu community is doing, and she's fully on board, and the whole team over there is pretty much on board with us. So the idea is that working with these types of organizations, the temples have the biggest influence here in that perspective, because when you walk into a temple, you see swastikas everywhere, right? So we need to make sure that the temples take the fight forefront, right? So as Ajay mentioned, the Hindu Mandir Executive Conference, which is a large coalition of temples, essentially it's a body of representative of temples that needs to take that forward. So they're coming forward and they're doing that. Similarly, there are other groups who are not on the call today who are working on it. So again, it's a grassroots level activism that is happening today in New York itself, and we're just contributing to that.
Thank you so much, Nikunj. I have a little question there to all the organizations, specifically to the Hindu Mandir organizations, basically. This bill is about a symbol of hatred, swastika being deemed as a symbol of hatred. Why, from the Hindu community, as there are, influential people, Indian Americans here, a bill has not been raised, or a question or, a proposal has not been sent out to the senators and congressmen, that you must know the difference between swastika, a Hindu religious symbol, and Hacker Cruz, and the Hindu identity, the Hindu spiritual symbol of swastika should be identified as a spiritual symbol of a 10,000 years old religion in the world. Why is there not a bill or a petition that's been forwarded by these organizations? It's a question to all the Indian Americans or to all the related organizations. Why do you not reach out to your senators and congressmen, educating them and proposing a bill that should pass on a higher level, on a higher senatorial level at a Congress level, where it goes equivocally everywhere as a message? This is absolutely a different symbol. You have all the facts with you. You are documented history there, everything there. Why is the community not raising to that situation? Who would
Maybe
like to
Ajay, you can, or yeah.
I think I go along the way with what Utsav just said a little earlier, and that is that Hindu community has been very passive in taking up a lot of issues that affect the Hindu community. We have come out of colonial past, we have immigrant roots, and we are just trying to establish ourselves in America. And as our community matures in America, we are becoming more and more active. And as we become more and more active, we are going to take these issues up. I mean, this is not the only issue that in last 1 week, there are so many issues that affect the Hindu community directly that are being raised. And Hindu community, it's about time that Hindu community sees this as early warning signs for what is going to happen to Hindu community. City after city is passing Hindu-phobic resolutions right now. The 6 cities that have already passed, that the cities like Chicago are likely to pass. San Francisco passed a week ago. It's on mayor's desk now for signature. It's completely Hindu-phobic. This is the first time in American history, a week before last, 2 weeks ago, the state of California has sued a large technical company, a technology company called Cisco, for caste discrimination, where there's absolutely no sign there's caste discrimination. None of us is for any kind of discrimination. I want to put that out there very first, that we're all for diversity, inclusion, but to create a red herring and to really try to make Hindus disown their identity. So all of these efforts, whether it is the swastika, or whether it is the anti-Hindu or Hindu-phobic resolutions in every city council, or whether the state of California is suing a major corporation for caste discrimination, or a university like Brandeis passed the caste resolution last year or a year before last, and they had a resolution on swastika a couple of years ago. So all of these things are actually being created or are actually coming to fore, so that a Hindu child growing up in America says that I am not a Hindu. So these are not disconnected efforts. All of these are at some level or the other connected. Some of the same people are behind these efforts. And the sooner Hindu community realizes that there's a real threat to Hindu identity in America, the better off the Hindu community is going to be. Otherwise, the erasure of Hindu identity in America is real, it is coming, and the Hindu community better wake up to it.
Thank you so much, Ajay Shahji. Thank you for these inputs. And of course, yes, it's time to wake up for the right people, right time. And I think they are being beaten right now. Yep. If they need to. Yes, Shohini.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think another really important part of this is to try to encourage more young people to get into US politics. I think that's imperative for us to be able to have our voices heard. I think one first step that I would encourage all students to do is to get involved with their student government in their schools. That's, one really great way to get involved. And then once they get a little older, to start running in their local elections and, eventually get into some of the bigger elections. We have very few Hindu representatives that are serving in, state legislation or national legislative bodies. And I think we need more of that. I think more parents need to encourage their young people to pursue these alternative career paths that are not typically pursued by Hindu youth. I think that's imperative. And then also our community, we need to surround our Hindu candidates and support them financially. Hindus are generally a very well-off community, and we need to put more money behind our Hindu politicians that are running for office. So I think that's also another really important way for us to get Hindu voices heard in the US.
Thank you,
In fact, there are some voter campaigns, Hindu voter campaigns that are going to be launching soon. So I think Shoini's point is well taken. All of us need to think about the Hindu voter. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's just about getting out to vote and supporting Hindu political candidates, with no matter what color of politics you are. So it doesn't matter. Let's support Hindu politicians out there. Great point, Shoini.
Yep. In fact, as part of Hindu Pact, one of the things we are doing is to reach out to all the parties, the two main parties, as well as any other party that is putting up candidates for the presidential election, with a questionnaire that we have prepared as part of Hindu Pact, addressing 10 points that are relevant to the Hindu community in America, the American Hindu community, and 10 points that are relevant to foreign policy. And we are trying to get their opinion and answers on these issues that affect the community, both inside America and around the world. So we are making this effort, but I think what I would like to say to everybody through this program is that people need to put their money where their mouth is. The community needs to come together. It's a well-off community. It needs to monetize and support these efforts, and not just leave it at a volunteer level, because the people we are up against and the people who are actually doing this in a concerted manner against us have huge institutions and funding sources that they're bringing forth into the game. So we have to respond, and we have to respond professionally and with a lot of passion.
Thank you so much, Utsavji. Very important inputs from all of you, It became the need of the hour for us as a media organization to come up, stand up, and send the message out loud to everybody, who are watching us all throughout the world. Because this is a very contentious issue here right now. This is an issue of identity. It is about losing your revered signs of your pious existence, the symbols that you have. And you completely they will be snatched away from you if these kind of laws come into picture. This is something you've revered for generations. And the Hindu symbol, this swastika, going away from our life would be like you are lost, you don't have your identity. You don't know where do you begin your auspicious occasions from. Unless a Hindu puts a swastika, nothing begins as a pious occasion or as a festive occasion. It's always the swastika that goes first. As you said, if you're buying a home, for the Graha Pravesh, you'll put a swastika. For buying a car, even for the smallest thing, you basically put a swastika there. Not just that, even to ward off evil from your house, Hindus prefer to put swastika in front of their house. There's a symbol of everything, as Acharya Gosai said, So that is where I think this identity, it's an identity issue. And we, as the organization, as you all organization, should come up together. And definitely, the good point from Shohini is also there that the students must participate in the political process right now, enlist themselves into the process, educate and empower each other, and don't feel less as being Hindu students or the brown students, because you know less than anybody else in the world. There have been personal incidents from our known circle of friends, their kids who are Hindu kids, and they have definitely reported saying, I don't want to project that I'm a Hindu. I don't want to project what kind of pujas we do. Kids laugh at us, all those things. So now that the Indians are progressing all over the world, and of course, in Hindu Americans or Hindus as such, this is the need of the hour to be informed, to keep informing other people and educating about who your real existence, what your real existence is, basically. So it was a very good session. And as we are about to close this session, I will take one final statement from all of you, your quote, your feelings about what's going on and what needs to be done. Acharya Arun Gosai ji, I will take it from you first of all, being the spiritual guru, the spiritual mentor there. How do you foresee all the things what are coming up now with whatever is happening in the world right now, especially you being resident of New York, and this bill being proposed in your area? What is your take and your message to the masses?
Yes, thank you so much. I have just one message for everyone, that we have to work together on this, I would say, battle, but not really a battle. I think it's just the way that we have to, it's just another hurdle that we as Hindus have to cross. Generations that have come before, I think they've tried to root themselves in this country. Now it's up to young people like us to take it forward to another level, which has not been done before. So my appeal to all of the youngsters out there, all of our colleagues, especially at HSC, and whoever be listening throughout the world, when it comes to your culture, your religion, your education, you must take it seriously. And part of that is actually learning more, taking the time. And finally, I want to say that parents, the onus is upon them. The responsibility is upon parents to educate the child properly, to send them to the right temples, to make sure the leaders are actually teaching them the right things that are authentic. So in this way, it passes on for the next 50 years or 50 generations and more. Thank you to all of you for having us on. And I want to say how happy I am to see this effort going forward. And thank you to Jyotsna ji for these wonderful, wonderful insights as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arunji, Acharya ji. Mr. Ajay Shah, your inputs, please.
So in the World Hindu Council of America has this tagline, and the tagline says, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. So one who protects the Dharma is protected by Dharma. And the protection of Hindu symbols, protection of Hindu mandirs, protection of Hindu identity is not merely protection of a stone, not merely a protection of some sketch that someone has made, but this is really our identity. And if we want to be protected in a society, if we want to spread our dharmic philosophy, which is universal truths, which is benefit all of mankind, all of humankind, then it is not that we want to protect the label Hindu. There are certain universal principles that Hindu Dharma has gifted to the world through thousands of years. And protecting these symbols is really to make sure that the future generation, not just this generation, but for next coming thousands of years, these symbols will continue to inspire everyone to do something good for the rest of the society, not just for themselves. And the only way this can happen is for every Hindu individual, every Hindu organization, all of us to come together and educate the community around us.
Thank you so much, Ajay-ji. Appreciate your inputs there. And Utsav Chakrabarti-ji, on your behalf, yes, what are the inputs?
Sure. So I would say that the story of swastika is actually a metaphor for the story of Hindu Dharma itself. From being a 10,000-old religion, philosophical system that has still remained the world's third largest religion, even though suffering 1,000 years of colonization. So reclaiming the swastika and bringing it back to life in all its civilizational entity across Europe, across Asia, across South America, is itself a story of Hindu Dharma. If we can bring it back, we can bring back Hindu Dharma and make it the universal space that it already had thousands of years ago. So I think this whole effort is a metaphor for the rest of the community to follow.
Thank you so much, Utsavji and Shohini.
Namaste again. Thank you so much, Jyotsna ji, for having us on, and for Mana TV and Mana TV International. This platform is incredibly important for us to be able to spread our messages. I will speak directly to the students and the young people out there. Please do get involved. Go out, even if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, go learn a little bit more about the swastika symbol, learn about the bindi, learn about all these different things that Hindus do, so that you can feel more confident about explaining, what our beautiful Dharma does teach us. You can explain it to others, you can feel that pride yourself. And then if you have a little bit more time and you want to get more involved, join different organizations, start teaching at a Bal Vihar, join Hindu Students Council, just get involved with your student government. This is not a time for us to sit by idly. This is a time for us to get up and get involved and, be proud of our own identity.
Thank you so much, Shohini. Appreciate your energy and the level of commitment you have there. Thank you so much. Nikunj, finally to you. And we appreciate all the combined efforts of all the organizations, for, reaching up to us and take this message to the masses. This is a team effort, and yet to go. We will be standing together on this issue, definitely. So Nikunj, your final inputs before we say bye to everyone.
Yes, and Jyotsna, I'll echo everyone's sentiment. Thank you so much to you, to Mana TV International, TV5, everybody who has been helping us. And Sridharji has been a great supporter of the community for a long time, and so have you. So I'm really appreciative of that. Everyone has said all the wonderful things. All I'm going to say is there's a reason why I have Swami Vivekananda here, is because he inspires all of us to follow the path of Dharma no matter what happens. As one of my favorite quotes on my signature is Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha, which is what Ajay Bhai said earlier. And what Swamiji had said is, this life is short. The vanities of the world are transient. Only those live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. So we need to follow his steps in that and say, what are we really doing for our community? Tomorrow when we get hit by a bus, or we die with a heart attack or something else, coronavirus has taught a lot of things to us. What is the legacy that we're going to leave behind? Are we going to just be a speck in the dust, or are we going to see that there's a legacy left behind for the next 50 generations that are coming up? What is the message that we're bringing out? What are we really trying to do here? Why are we here? What are we protecting? So that's something that the community, all of us needs to think about. I am doing this for my daughter. I don't want her to come home one day and say, Dad, I hate being a Hindu. Because We believe in cows. We are weird people. We have weird gods and goddesses. I don't want her to come back home crying and telling me that I hate being a Hindu, that we are oppressive minority, like oppressing religion and all this nonsense. That's why I'm still involved in doing what I'm doing today. And I will continue till the last breath of my body until then. And even if I have to come back as a ghost, I'll still keep doing it. And the reason that happens is because just like Ajay Bhai and others have given me an opportunity to come here and become a strong Hindu. I've become more of a Hindu being born and raised in India. I've become more of a Hindu being in America because of these great people who have done a lot of work in the community. So it's important for us, all of us, to give back and also understand that this is a civilizational battle. And if we don't stand up, no one else is going to stand up.
Very, very moving words, Nikunji. Thank you so much. The way you cited the example of your daughter, the way you have shown that how they are losing their pride because of being less informed about the religion. Hindu Dharma, a Sanatan Dharma, a religion of masses. One such religion of the world, which has always had a very strong scientific base as well, with whatever half of the traditions of the things that are followed in Hindu Dharma, they have some scientific base to it. The Sanatani Dharma has come to a question today. It is the impact on the complete community today. If this bill, thankfully it has got stalled in the assembly right now, but it may come back again as a correction. But if this bill gets passed into any of the senates or any of the congresses of the United States of America, Hindu identity for sure would be at risk, because swastika as the symbol of hate as it is being projected into this proposed bill is not the truth about the real swastika. Hitler's Hakenkreuz is absolutely different than what Hindu swastika is, as far as the physical description of the sign is concerned, as far as the spiritual essence of the sign is concerned. Time is of essence. All the people who are watching this show today, I hope you would have gathered a lot of good information about what is the fact and what is being shown by these people who are showing this symbol as a symbol of hate. Definitely, send a message of symbol of hate, whatever it is actually, show it to people. Show that Hakenkreuz is a symbol of hate. Show that Hakenkreuz is a twisted symbol. It is a symbol which is 45 degrees twisted, swastika-like symbol, but that is not swastika. I will not speak much today. I will leave it for you to think and introspect with yourself. Where is your identity hiding when you are not speaking about the right things? You as Indian Americans, as Hindus, if you are there, not just the Hindus in the United States of America, this is a matter of concern for all the Hindus all over the world. I am not an advocate for Hinduism here, but yes, what is right and what is wrong would be spoken out and loud without any fear. With that, I rest my today's case. Thank you everyone for coming and joining this session. Appreciate your presence, and we will meet in our next sessions again. Till then, thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Jyotsna ji. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We will come back with another special discussion with Community Special with Jyotsna. Thank you.